Welcome to a new video. In this video, we're going to be building a console application that uses a stock API to get the latest price of a stock. Let me show you what that's going to look like, the final product. Okay, so here it is. You can see it asks for a stock symbol. I'm going to put in AAPL. And it gives me the price of that stock right now, which is 133.885. And I can do another one like TSLA for Tesla, AMD, and it works pretty fast, and it gives me the current price of these stocks. Let me close that. Okay, so let's get building this application. I'm actually going to start with building the method that makes the request to the API to get the data. So let's start with that. Let's call it get stock price. It's going to be static, and I want it to be async as well. Async. And since it's async, it needs to return a task as well. Okay, let's put some parentheses in there like this. And right now it can't find the type task, so we need to import it. So using system.threading.task, just like that. So now let's get into making this HTTP request to the API. First off, you need an instance of the class HTTP client to do this. So HTTP client, and that's not going to be imported as well. So Alt-Enter. Using system.net.http, see that line up there. I'm just going to call it client. It's going to be equal to a new HTTP client, just like this. So now this client is what we're going to be using to make the requests, and this is how you do a request like this. You're going to go client dot get async. So get async means that we're going to be using the get method, right? See how there's also a method for post async. Post is the other HTTP method, but we'll be using get async. And then in the parameters, it wants a request URL. So basically the destination of the request we want to make. Let's go back to the FinHub API first, documentation, I mean, and let's see the destination we want to have for a quote of a price of a stock. So we can see just in the code example here, this is the request URL right here. So I'm just going to copy that, paste it back into here. So this is the URL, but now we want to pass in the parameters with this request. And if we go back to the documentation, we can see it wants the symbol of the stock. So we're going to go question mark to say that we're going to start declaring parameters. And we're going to go symbol is equal to, let's say, AAPL. And then an ampersand to separate another parameter. We're going to go token. And then we need our API key, right? Remember, that's what the token is. Here's my API key. I'm going to copy it. I'm going to slap it into there after token. Okay, just like this. So boom. This will make an HTTP request, but I just realized that this client needs to be static. Like this. Okay, now it's happy. So now notice how this is get async, and that means that this method is actually an async method. See how it returns a task here? So we need to get the result of this task. And we can await it since we're in an async context. So we can go await, and this will get the result of this task. But we want to store this in a variable. And notice if we go back and hover over get async, it says it's a task of type HTTP response message. So the result of this task is going to be an HTTP response message. And that's just another class that's already made for us. So we can go HTTP response message, and I'm just going to call this response is equal to await client. Boom. Okay, so now we have the response of the HTTP request inside of a variable. But now we want to get the data that's contained within this response. And to do that, we need to convert it to JSON. And JSON is just the name of the format the data is in. And there's different ways to do this. I'm going to show you 2 ways to do it. The first way is kind of dirty, but it works. And that's using the dynamic keyword. So this, you basically want to use this when you don't know the type of data that a method is going to give you. So to get this JSON data, I'm going to go JSON convert. And this is not something that's included right off the bat. So you need to press Alt Enter. And then you'll see you'll have all of these options, but we want to go down here to install this package of newtonsoft.json, and then just go find and install the latest version. And then that'll do everything for you. You can see up here, it added this new line using newtonsoft.json. So now we have this JSON convert object, and we want to go .deserialize object. Deserialization, it basically just means like convert. So we're going to be converting an object to a JSON object. So inside this parameter, it just wants a string of value. So we want to pass in the data that we got from this response. And to do that, we can go response. Then we want to go .content .read as string async, just like this. So this will it'll get the content of the response, and then it'll read it as a string. And note this is also an async method, so it'll return a task. So we need to await this as well. Notice how we can put this await pretty much anywhere in front of a task, even if it's within another parameter. Okay, so this should work. But now we want to actually store this JSON object in a variable. But since we don't necessarily know what this object is going to look like necessarily, we can use this this keyword called dynamic. Dynamic, like this. It's just like a type. So we can put the variable name after. I'm going to call it JSON data, just like this. We don't necessarily know what the type of this variable is going to be. So we just say it's going to be dynamic, which just means it's going to be determined at runtime. So while the application is running, it'll determine what the type of this variable will be. So that's kind of quick and dirty. So this gets the JSON data. So then why don't we try printing out something? And let's see here. Let's go back to the documentation. So the response, you see we have O, we have H, we have L, we have C. Let's just get C, which will be the current price of the stock. Okay, so this is going to be just simply JSON data.c, just like that. We want to get the C attribute, right? This attribute of the JSON data. So let's just run this real quick, but we need to actually call it within the main method. And because this is an async method, we actually want to make the main method async as well. And that's as easy as doing async there and then doing a task there. And then we want to await get stock price, like that. Okay, let's run this. And you can see it prints out 133.9457 just before it exits the application. Okay, so this works. Now let me show you another way of getting this JSON data converted from the response to an object. And that's actually by making our own class that contains the data. So let me show you how that's done. I'm going to make a new class down here, and I'm just going to call it quote response, like this. And we want to make a different attribute for every value we'll be receiving in the response. So you see here we have O, H, L, C, and PC. So to convert that, I'm going to go public, and most of these are going to be doubles, right? See up here in the example, double, 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 and then this can be an integer. So yeah, let's go public double C, public H, public double L, public double O. What else we got? PC and T. Public double. Was it P? Nope. PC. And then the last one, T, is going to be an integer. Public int T, like that. So now we have like kind of this base class, and we can pass that into this method so that it'll deserialize the content to a copy of this class. And to do that, we can use angle brackets, right, just like that, and pass in quote response, so the name of our class that we just made. That means that the result of this method is also going to be a quote response. And then we can go like that. Depending on the name of these attributes, you can go JSON data dot, and then you can see we have all the options. We'll go dot C. Now note that these names have to be the exact same name that show up in the response here. So you can't change these names because the way this method works is that it grabs the names of the values in the response and just moves them directly over to the variable with the same name in the class that you made. So just make sure that these names are the exact same that show up in the documentation. So we have JSON data.c, and let's run that just to show you that this works as well. Boom, there you go. And actually, you can actually see that this price has changed since the past 2 or 3 minutes. So that just shows that it's live and these prices are in real time. Okay, so that goes for making the HTTP request. Now let's make this a bit nicer to use. So I'm gonna make a infinite loop while true, just in the main method up here. Get rid of that for now. And then I'm gonna prompt the user, just console.write, not write line, just write, so it doesn't make a new line, to enter stock symbol. Make a colon, just like this. Now I want to get the user input, so I'm asking the user to enter a stock, and then I want to capture that input. So string symbol is equal to console.readline, and then I just want to make sure that the user input is going to be all uppercase. So even if the user puts in the stock in lowercase, we want to convert it to uppercase, because that's what FinHub wants. That's what the API wants. So that's as easy as going console.readline and then dot to upper. And that'll convert all the lowercase letters in this read line to uppercase. And now we just want to pass in this symbol to get stock price. But our get stock price right now doesn't accept different parameters. It just gets the Apple stock no matter what. So let's change that. Let me show you a little trick. You can, if you put a $sign in front of a string like this, then you can use curly braces inside of it and then pass in a variable to embed it into a string. So if I go like that, symbol, and then let's make a new parameter, string symbol, like this. So this variable will be embedded into this string right here. And I want to do the same with a token, actually. I'm going to store the token inside of a variable outside of the string, like this. And then again, use curly braces is equal to token, like this. Oh, actually this can't be private. Oh, this needs to be static. Okay, and then we would need to pass in the symbol. So just like that, symbol. Okay, this should work nicely. Let's run it. Okay, enter stock symbol. Let's say we want to get Tesla, so let's go TSLA. That's the stock symbol for Tesla. Boom, it gives us the price. And we can do it in lowercase as well because we have that .to upper. It should work anyways. We can get different stocks, and it give us the real-time price of this stock. Pretty cool. So in this app, we only use one service from the API, right? We only use the quote service, but it's possible to use multiple services in the same application. So like, for example, this is more advanced, but let me show you an example of what can be done. So look at this. If you put in the stock symbol, TSLA, it'll show you the name of the stock, which is Tesla Inc. This is the current price of the stock, and then this is the graph. It's vertical, but it's the graph of the past month. And you can see this is the lowest price of the month, and this is the highest price of the month. And yeah, so these use different services from the API to get the data required to show it.